What is going on, everyone? The NFL trade deadline is approaching. It ends on the 31st, and we now know that the Houston Texans are going to be buyers. General Manager Nick Caserio is looking for star players to solidify this Houston Texans roster so that the team can make a playoff push this year. Playoffs, I cannot believe we are having this conversation. This time last year, the season was already over. This is the most exciting time it has been in years to be a Houston Texans fan. So make sure you guys are tapped in, and welcome everyone to the 713 Houston Sportcast. I am your host, Ruben Calvillo. I drop daily Houston Texans content, so make sure you guys are following me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok for the latest news, rumors, and updates. And if you guys are new here to the channel, welcome. We just hit 8,000 subscribers, trying to hit 9K by weeks 9 or 10. Please help me get there. And thank y'all so much for watching today's episode. This is why I tell you guys to make sure you're following me on Twitter, because yesterday I was in a space with Patrick Storm. We were hosting it together. If you are a Houston Texans fan, you know who Patrick Storm is. He has credentials. He sometimes writes for Fox Sports, featured on the Texans Wire, host of another Texans podcast with our boy John Crumpler, and he gave a nugget on his YouTube channel yesterday, and the nugget was: Nick is looking to acquire really good talent at the trade deadline, not a depth guy. So we found out that the Houston Texans are not only buyers, but they are seeking out good talent, not just mid-tier names. On the space yesterday, I asked him, is it on the offense? Is it on the defense? He immediately responded, oh, it is on the defense. They are looking at a number of players, but there is about 1 to 2 that if they do get them, they will immediately impact the Houston Texans roster, and it would be an understanding with their agent that if they do get traded here, they will be signing a contract to be a Houston Texan. So names like Chase Young immediately come into mind. Names like Brian Burns immediately come into mind. That, I think, is the top 2 trade targets for the Houston Texans. It's either going to be former number 2 overall pick in the draft, defensive rookie of the year, Chase Young, or pass rush specialist, 2 Pro Bowls in the past 2 years, coming off a 12.5 sack season, Spider-Man Brian Burns. I cannot believe we are even talking about adding talent like this. Now, we talked about both these guys, so let's just give a quick rundown on Chase Young and Brian Burns. With Chase Young, who is having a dominant season so far, still only 24 years old, the former number 2 overall pick in the draft, rookie defensive player of the year where he had 7.5 sacks. The question isn't about talent. You know, if he's on the field, he is going to get to the quarterback. But it is, can he stay healthy? 2021, his season ended with the ACL, only played 9 games. 2022, continued to deal with knee issues, only played in 3 games. This season, so far, has played every single one, and he is having himself a already Pro Bowl type year with 5 sacks on the year. Chase Young is finally healthy, and he is dominating opposing NFL offensive linemen. Now, the question is, what is the draft compensation for Chase Young? We heard they want a first-round pick. That is not going to happen with his type of injury history. Chase Young might be the cheapest option for the Houston Texans if they want to go either him or Brian Burns. But I think it will cost the Houston Texans a second-round pick this year and maybe a 4th-round pick next year, because you still have to pay Chase Young. They did not pick up his 5th-year option. You have to immediately sign him to a long-term contract. Now, just imagine the defense of Will Anderson Jr. on one side and Chase Young at the other side. That is going to be filthy if Chase Young stays healthy. And that is the biggest question surrounding Chase Young. Because if he is healthy, this is a generational pass rusher. But if not, it's going to be a, man, I can't believe we traded for him. We did take a chance, but look what's going on now. So many injuries. Nonetheless, the Houston Texans, if they go out there and get Chase Young, I would be excited. It is a win now move. It is I am trying to make a playoff move. I'm trying to do damage in the playoffs. And you have a amazing pass rushing duo of Will Anderson and Chase Young for the next 4 or 5 years. Brian Burns, 25 years old, still very young, and in the prime of his career. We talked about Chase Young having injury issues. Brian Burns doesn't have that. Since 2019 in his rookie year, 16 games played, 15 games played his sophomore year, 17 games played in his 2021 Pro Bowl campaign. Last year, 16 games, another Pro Bowl season, and so far this year, 100% healthy. But what you love about Brian Burns is those sack totals. 7.5 his rookie year, 9 in his sophomore, 9 in his first Pro Bowl year, and last year, 12.5 sacks, finally getting double digits. Brian Burns has 4 sacks on the year, on pace for a potential double-digit sack season. I mean, this is a guy who is going to transform the Houston Texans defense as soon as he steps into the building. I mean, the same with Chase Young, but Brian Burns is special. I've been a fan of Brian Burns for many years. When we were talking about trading Masad Johnson and we didn't know where to trade him, I was like, send him to Carolina, and you better make sure you get Brian Burns. He is a character as well. He loves Spider-Man. His face mask has the weapon. Imagine him in that battle red uniform. But you were talking about someone with no injury concerns in the prime of his career and someone who could consistently get to the quarterback. Watch him and Will Anderson Jr. go years of 10-digit sacks each, man. They're going to free up each other. They're going to create one-on-ones opportunities for each other. Brian Burns is that guy. I really hope the Houston Texans take a chance on him. But with Brian Burns, because of the no injury history, because of the consistency of getting to a quarterback, it might cost you a lot draft capital-wise. We know, I think last year they turned down 2 first-round picks from the Los Angeles Rams. I wonder how much is it going to cost to get Brian Burns. You might have to give him a first-round pick and a future third. Maybe even tack on more. Or do you negotiate some way like, hey, I still have to pay him, and maybe it is only a first-round pick. But Brian Burns is a superstar type player. And that is a playoff move. I could do damage in the playoffs. I am trying to win now. Why wait till the offseason? Go get Brian Burns. Now, if you are asking me, who would I rather have, Chase Young or Brian Burns? I mean, I am on the fence. With Brian Burns, it is, I know what I'm going to get, but it might cost me a first-round pick. With Chase Young, it's going to be cheap. I know I'm going to get a good player if he is healthy, and recent history have shown me he can't stay healthy. You are going to take a gamble on Chase Young. It's also a gamble on Brian Burns, but it's a little bit of a safer bet. Nonetheless, man, I'm just happy that we are even talking about this. Nick Caserio is putting his nuts on the table, and he is trying to make this Houston Texans roster a playoff roster, whether it is going out and getting Chase Young or going out there and getting Brian Burns. Or do you just let this young Houston Texans team work, led by phenom rookie quarterback C.J. Stroud, and see what type of Cinderella season you are going to have? I really don't know, but I know that times for the Houston Texans are on the rise. We are pointing up, and it starts with a dominant win this Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. For more Houston Texans content, y'all feel free to follow me for more. Let me know, who would you rather have, Chase Young, Brian Burns? And for more Houston Texans content, y'all hit me up. Y'all guys have a very blessed day.